A little tip I wanted to share with you for your Herald, you see here. Hi everyone, it's Aga. Today we're back for a new video. Now today will be a bit different from usual because this time we're going over to the Freep side. So if you happen to come across my video and you don't know me, well, I mainly make videos for PvMP and more for the Creep side. Today I wanted to do a little discovery and explanation video about the Red Captain because, well, it's a character I really like. It's mine. It's one of my favourites. In this video, it's mainly aimed at people who are either new to the game or want to start playing Captain but really don't know much about it. I'll be sharing my point of view on the class, giving a few tips, and above all, making sure the role of this class is well understood. It's a buffer, not a DPS, and I think quite a few people might not really understand that, or could end up disappointed when they start playing the character. I'll show the traits, the virtues, then we'll go over a bit of skill rotation, and I'll give a few tips that I use on my Captain. We'll also have a look at the pets, what's useful and what isn't. As for the traits, I use two trait setups when I play Raid Captain, because actually with Raid Captain, if you don't know the class, you have a mode for playing solo. So that's more for quests and such. It's more, let's say, a stance that's there to make leveling easier for you. And then you'll have a gameplay mode that's precisely without this stance, and that's where you'll be able to buff your allies at the same time as you're attacking your enemies. Because in fact, the majority of the buffs you'll be giving to your allies will often be applied at the same time as you're doing your spell rotation. So here, of course, I'm mainly going to put points into the red column. So here I take everything that increases damage on shouts. The bleed, there you go. I obviously take the mark, which is essential. I'll go for the light type damage, all the bleed effects. If you want, you can pause and copy what I've done if you fancy. Here, you absolutely have to take, well, obviously you can do it your own way, alright? For example, I don't take this because I reckon there's no need for it. No need to improve that to manage mana on your Captain. It's not a mana heavy build at all. You manage it quite well. At worst, just bring a bit of food, some potions, and you'll be absolutely fine. Here, what you absolutely must take, in my opinion, is the mark that increases damage on all your targets. Just to clarify, it also increases your allies' damage on the target, in case you're not playing as a Captain. Personally, I recommend taking it. The banner upgraded to level 5, because at level 5, not only will you deal more damage with the banner, but you'll also be able to target the area where you throw it. And actually, that's very important when you're playing in a group. I'll come back to this later and give a little figure about it. Obviously the shame, right? That's crucial. It lets you kill bosses more quickly. Then there's the elite companion. Well, personally, I've got that one. I quite like my companions to deal a bit of damage and be a bit more resilient. And there you go. So for this column, just read through and adapt it as you like. You don't have to put, for example, 5 points here. You could put 4 and add another point elsewhere. You can make small adjustments. Don't forget time of need. That's a crucial skill for the Captain. Again, I'll go over that skill later. And I recommend putting a few points into the healing column and the tank column, because there are some useful points to invest in there. So here, I suggest you max out morale. It's always a few extra hit points, which is very useful during group play and instances. That's quite handy. Here, you'll be able to slightly increase the damage of your pets. So that's always interesting. And here you have the option to unlock a stun on your crit zone, which is the rooting cry. As for the healing column, I recommend putting points into increasing your critical hits on melee damage. You can invest points there. There's also a melee damage bonus, and above all, the extra 5%. on the rallying cry. So every time you use rallying cry, you and your team will get a buff of an extra 5% DPS, which I think is absolutely crucial. And I forgot to mention, of course, here in the red column, it's the same. It's extremely important. The penetrating cry, likewise, when you activate your rooting cry, will give you and your team a buff that will allow you to increase your attack speed. So that was for the traits. As for me, I have another setup that I use where I put more points into the blue line. Well, there you go. If you have this setup, it's quite versatile. It works solo or in a group. For me, it's pretty safe. I recommend doing it this way. If you don't want to overthink things, it'll be perfectly playable. As for the virtue traits, I increase everything that's defensive. So mitigation, tactical, physical, resistance and health. If you want a bit more damage, you can put some points in a physical mastery if you fancy. Personally, I prefer to optimize defense. If you do a lot of instances and such, you'll need it. Again, you can pause here if you want to copy my setup. Afterwards, arrange things as you prefer, however suits you best. There you go. Right, so we're done with the traits. Now we're going to move on to understanding buffs. So, we're going to ask a sport to do a demonstration on our friend. So, now, if you're not familiar with the captain, so you have buffs that I call, let's say, passive, so to speak. In other words, you just click on the skill and it will buff you and your team. For example, motivate and in speech. There you go. So here you have these buffs, and then you'll have loads of buffs that will activate when you do your rotation. For DPS. So here I'm going to apply Blade Browser to my pet, and you can see that some skills have been activated. In fact, with Blade Browser, you link yourself to someone, you can put it on another player, it will give them a buff and allow you to apply buffs during combat to that ally. And then you also have buffs that you apply to your whole team. So here, for example, if you want to engage an enemy, you always start with the telling mark, which will increase the damage they take by 5% from you and your allies. Be careful, if you're too far away, you'll deactivate the skill. So the first buff you need to understand on the captain is not only a buff, but also in your DPS rotation, it will allow you to recover your battle shout more quickly. Battle shout lets you activate other skills that enable you to perform the combo. I'll show you that. So here you can see on improved Sure Strike at the bottom there in green, there's a bonus to damage, critical hit chance and attack duration for 45 seconds. So to apply this, you will need to apply it each time after battle shout or defensive strike. Alright, so I'll demonstrate it for you now. Here I'm using my pry, okay, and you can see here that something has triggered, a little buff for 15 seconds. And now if I press here again, you can see there's a little glow around me and I've just activated the buff I was telling you about, the Red Lantern's attack. There you go, so you've got the extra 5% damage, the crit chance, the attack duration, alright? And if we come back here, you can see that it matches exactly what I told you just before. Now, I'm going to do it, well, here I've got the buff that lasts 45 seconds, and you can see that I'm also applying it to my ally. So this is for your whole group, not just your Blade Brother, alright? So now I'm going to do it the other way round, and you'll see that it won't apply. So I'll do the strike first, and then the cry. You can see that this time I don't have the buff. I've got the Battle Raged, which activates when you do your cry, alright? But I no longer have the previous buff. There you go. So now you see, I do the strike again after the cry, and now it comes back, you've got the right hand less attack, there you are. So that's very important. It really is a small buff, but if you apply it loads of times, for example if you're running an instance Actually, a small buff plus a small buff plus a small buff, in the end, you'll make a real difference for your team, alright? It's very important not to overlook this, so keep that firmly in mind. I'll show you the other way to activate it. So you'll see that defensive strike actually has the same effect as the cry or the battle shout. So we'll wait for it to disappear. This time we're going to land the blow. So here you can see I've got the same reaction as before. And there you go, I've activated the red light again. Attack. So that's the second way to activate it. That was the first thing I wanted to go through with you. It was the first buff you needed to understand, alright? You absolutely must activate this every time when you're playing your captain, especially in a group. Now, the other important thing about playing this way is that you can see here I've got a 15-second cooldown on the battle shout. So if, for example, keep an eye here on my icon when I use battle shout and I've got improved shield strike, you'll see that the cooldown is reduced. That means every time you do this, you reduce the cooldown of your battle shout by 1 second, so you'll get it back more quickly. So, in addition to applying the buff, that's also a key point. To do it for that as well, alright? So let's ask to stay here. Now, the second thing I wanted to go over with you is the banner. I mentioned it earlier. When you put all your points into it, you can see there's an area that appears on the ground. You can place it wherever you like. So when you're playing red captain in a team, alright, your role isn't to deal damage per second, DPS. Alright, that's what champions and high ground are for, okay? You're a buffer, right? So you're going to boost the damage of others, and any DPS you deal is just a bonus. It's not useless, but it's a bonus, not your main job. So here you can see that with the banner you get a big melee, lunge and tactical bonus. This is going to require a bit of game sense, alright? You'll need to be able to read the game a bit. So, for example, see that you're going in with a tank on the target. Let's imagine this is the enemy, and over here you have another ally. So your tank is attacking and your DPS are where my pet is. You can clearly see that you shouldn't drop your banner here, right? Because if all your DPS are over there and you're here with the tank, your ability is wasted, okay? So you'll want to target your allies, the spot where your allies are, and you'll cast the banner on them. You yourself don't have the buff with your ally. You can see the area is large, but that's not a problem because your allies who are in the area, you can see here I've stepped into the area and I do have the buff, well, they'll be able to hit your target much harder. So make sure to cast this on your allies and not on your enemies. That was the second thing. Now let's move on to the next buff. So you'll see here on my ally, it's very straightforward, nothing complicated. You'll notice you have the Inspire Blade Browser. So actually, when you hit your target, you'll get a buff on yourself that will restore your power, and you'll have a damage bonus for yourself and your Blade Browser. Now this buff isn't for your whole team, it's just for you and your Blade Browser. Alright? So when you play Red Captain, you'll be applying the Blade Brother to a DPS. So you can put it on an LM, on an RK, you can put it on a Hunter, on a Champion, and so on. It will depend on your group, it's up to you to adapt. There you go. Then you also have the 2 Arms Blade Brother. So again, same thing. You get a damage bonus, and the Blade Brother must also be active for it to apply. You can see that the buff is also on your target. Right, so now we'll look at the next buffs. So for the next buffs, if you've set up your trait configuration as I showed you just before, you'll have a buff on, how shall I put it, on the Riding Cry, and you also have one on the Routing Cry. So now we're going to activate them. For example, I'll use Time of Need. Now, to apply these buffs, you need either a reaction to defeat, or to activate it with a critical hit, or with time of need. Right here, you can clearly see that I activate the ability, and then as soon as I perform the rally, you'll notice the healing effect taking place. Furthermore, you can also spot the routine cry damage buff appearing on the screen. This specific buff adds an extra 5% bonus to all different types of damage you deal. Because of this significant boost, it is absolutely vital to make sure you do this during your gameplay. You can see here the Blade of Elendil, Light of Elendil, and you can see that similarly there's a buff. So this is for your whole team, not just for you and your Blade brother. It gives you a damage bonus on your shadow alignment, so this spell here. So it's very important to always use the Blade of Elendil before shadow alignment. Alright, there you go, same again, nothing complicated. So I'll just show you, because the duel is over now, on this NPC, the second buff on Rooting Cry. So if I kill it and activate it, you can see that I get the Penetrating Cry buff. So now I'm reducing the attack duration. For me and my whole team. It's not just for you and your Blade brothers. Remember, you've got a buff here and here. You need to keep activating them for your group. In fact, it's not about activating it every now and then. You should activate it as often as you can. Now I'm going to rebuff the pet. First of all, you should definitely ask for a spar. Now, what I'm going to do is show you the specific rotations you'll need to keep all your buffs active, which will significantly increase your overall DPS and improve your performance in combat. Once you have successfully identified and locked onto your target, you simply need to apply the mark during the promotion phase to ensure everything is set up correctly for the next stage of the fight, to increase the damage. So, if you're ready, you can start with Defensive Strike, that's not a problem. After that, you always use Improved Choke for the buff from earlier. Next, you can use Devastating Blow if it's a single target. Use Blade of Helen's Deal to increase the damage of Shadow Slam. Next, for example, you can use Battle Shout. Use Improved Shield Strike again, which will reset the buff for you and your team. You can use Devastating Blow again, or Placing Attack if there are multiple targets. Use Shadow Slammer again, and of course, in between all this, you activate Inspire Blade Brother and 2 arms. For example, if you're facing a boss. If you pick up your banner and your DPS are a bit further away, apply it to them, not to yourself, unless you have melee DPS with you. So you can do that again, you can apply the dots. Now for the dots, there's also a little tip. Do cutting attack first and then grab round to actually apply the damage over time to all the enemies that are close to your target. Let's say it spreads the damage over time, whereas if you do it the other way round, it will be damage over time on just one target. There you go, I've reactivated the buff. You can see that all this time I've been keeping up the red landless attack. And I'm always doing the same rotation, alright? So I remember to reactivate the Blade Brother bonuses. Now we're going to apply the damage over time. There you go. Also, remember that you have this spell, Clean Corruption, to remove corruption from your enemy. It's the same thing. There are some bosses where it won't be possible, of course, but keep it in mind anyway. You've got a spell for that, and another one. The type 1 wanted to share with you is the Icebreaker Shame. So, for example, if you're on voice chat with your allies, which I recommend, try to coordinate to use it together, alright? Don't just throw it out there carelessly for no reason. It's got a 3-minute cooldown, which is very long. So try to sync it with your allies so they can prepare all their abilities, alright? For example, ideally, you make the call, right, I'm going to do a DPS rotation now. Here you can see I've activated Rally Cry and Routine Cry on a critical hit. Now we're doing the DPS rotation. Now we're applying the damage over time effects. The Housebreaker Shame. So here, for example, I'm going to call it out for my team. I throw the banner down for my allies to boost DPS, and then I apply it, alright? Then we go Placid, we throw everything we've got at it. There you go, you can do a DPS rotation. There you are, perfect. There's a critical coming up, so we add this buff, remember, and there you go. You do the rotation as soon as you get it back. You activate it, don't overthink it. You can do that. You see, I'm reactivating the rally. On your captain, I recommend having a fair bit of critical so you can trigger these two abilities fairly often. It's definitely better that way. And there you go, you keep your rotation going like that. So you can see that I've activated the rally again, and there you go. You can see that my ally has quite a few buffs on them now. There you have it. So what I've just shown you is for playing captain in a group, alright? So when you're on your own, you'll be able to play with standalone. Here, actually, the Blade Browser spell effects will actually disappear, and instead you'll get buffs for yourself that will increase the damage of your other spells, and it will also give you some extra DPS spells. But there you go, that's more for playing solo, for leveling up. There you have it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't have anything else to share with you. Oh yes, one last little thing. Now, this isn't just for Captain DPS, alright? It's for all specialisations. You have a spell called Muster Courage, so I recommend you put that on a keyboard shortcut so you can really activate it very quickly, in a second. Because actually, that's what will allow you to remove harmful effects, like fear, poison, anything of that sort. You have a buff for 10% fear resistance. And actually, it's very important to cleanse harmful effects as soon as your team needs it, as soon as you're asked to do so. So I recommend you assign this to a keyboard shortcut. Basically, as soon as I see there's a harmful effect here, or I hear my team calling to cleanse the effect, I don't even bother hovering my mouse over it or anything. I just press the key straight away and it goes through. Instantly, right, and that's really good. Now, I also forgot to go over companions, the pets, with you. I almost forgot. So, for pets, you've got the Archer, the Herald of Victory, the Herald of War, and the Herald of Hope. I almost always use the Hope, especially when I'm on my own, because you get a big heal that can really save your life. It's your biggest heal when you're playing Captain, obviously, the biggest heal for yourself. From time to time I play with the Archer, and sometimes in a group I'll take the Herald of War to boost the damage. I never use the Herald of Victory, I find it a bit average, not great. A little tip I wanted to share with you for your Herald, you see here. Now, some creatures have specific spells, so it won't work on this particular one. But actually, just here, if you're looking to have your pet automatically activate those spells during the heat of combat without you needing to manually give a command every single time, you simply come over to the spell icon here, and actually what you do is right click on these two specific abilities, and that will effectively mean that it will trigger automatically. Well, your companion, your pet, will activate them automatically as soon as you're in combat. You can do this with all pets. So this means you'll only have one pet spell to manage. You'll only have the heal left if you're playing with the Herald of Hope, like I am, for example. There you go, so that's quite useful. It takes a task off your hands. It's not bad. If you don't want it, you just right-click on the skill again, and it will actually cancel it. For example, if you're playing with the Herald of Hope, you have this spell here that I'm showing you, which will actually do a forced attack, so it will take aggro. If you're in an instance with a tank, it might bother the tank, so in that case you might as well disable it. But if you're playing solo, you can right-click it, so that your pet activates it automatically. This time I've shared everything with you. As for the pet, if you prefer to play with the archer, that's not a problem. In a group, ask your team what they want. A damage bonus, a health bonus. Generally it's one or the other. Don't overthink it and just take what you're asked for. There you go, so I hope you enjoyed this video. It's just a little guide like that on the Cappy. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments. I'll be happy to answer, and I'll see you next time.